The rain hammered down as Hannah Scott stood outside the Meridian Hotel, her cleaning uniform clinging to her skin. Her hands trembled, not from the cold, but from the termination letter crumpled in her fist. 3 hours. That's how long ago her entire world collapsed. She watched limousines glide toward the entrance, one after another, until a black Rolls-Royce pulled up. Him. Brian Williams. The billionaire whose name destroyed everything. Her daughter's medication. Her nursing degree. Her future. Hannah's feet moved before her mind could stop them. Mr. Williams. Her voice cut through the rain. Security rushed forward, but she didn't flinch. You don't know me, but you destroyed my life today. And you're going to hear what you did. Brian raised his hand, stopping his guards. His eyes locked onto hers, something flickering behind them, curiosity, maybe pity. I have 2 minutes, he said coldly. Make it count. What Hannah doesn't know yet is that Brian never filed that complaint, and the truth is far more dangerous than either of them imagines. Drop a like, share this story, and comment below, because what happens next will blow your mind, and we've got incredible stories coming to this channel. 24 hours earlier, Hannah Scott had no idea her life was about to implode. She stood in the employee locker room of the Meridian Hotel, staring at the photo on her phone. Mia, her 7-year-old daughter, smiling despite the medical bracelet on her tiny wrist. Just a few more months, baby, Hannah whispered, kissing the screen before tucking it away. 6 years. That's how long she'd scrubbed toilets and polished marble floors on the night shift. 6 years of watching wealthy guests breeze through golden doors while she emptied their trash cans. But it wasn't about pride anymore. It was survival. Mia's rare blood disorder required treatments that cost more than Hannah made in a year. Without the hotel's health insurance, her daughter would die. It was that simple, that brutal. 3 months. That's all she had left until nursing school graduation. 3 months until she could finally become someone who saved lives instead of cleaning up after them. She'd taken every extra shift available, sleeping 4 hours a night, her body screaming in protest. But she was so close. So desperately close. Hannah! Mr. Carson's voice snapped her back to reality. Her manager stood in the doorway, his face grave. The Tech Innovation Summit starts tonight. Presidential Suite. Brian Williams just checked in. Hannah's stomach dropped. She knew that name. Everyone did. Tech billionaire. Ruthless. Brilliant. Worth more money than she could comprehend. Carson stepped closer, his voice dropping to a warning. Williams is demanding but fair, usually. But these people... He shook his head. Billionaires expect perfection. One mistake and you're gone. I've seen it happen. So please, Hannah, be invisible. Do your job. Don't give him any reason to notice you. Hannah nodded, swallowing hard. I understand. Good. Because I can't protect you if he complains. I won't protect you. The hotel needs his business more than it needs any of us. As Carson walked away, Hannah pulled out her phone one more time. Mia's face smiled back at her, unaware that her mother's hands were shaking. The presidential suite. Brian Williams. One mistake. Hannah took a deep breath, grabbed her cleaning cart, and headed toward the elevator. She had no idea that in less than 24 hours she'd be standing in the rain, confronting the very man she'd been told to avoid, because he'd already destroyed everything. The morning light filtered through the presidential suite's floor-to-ceiling windows as Hannah pushed her cleaning cart inside. Brian Williams had already left for the summit. The suite was pristine except for a few coffee cups and towels. Easy. She'd be done in 20 minutes. Then she saw it, the laptop, sitting open on the mahogany desk, screen glowing. Unlocked. Hannah's heart skipped. She knew the rules: never touch a guest's personal items. She moved carefully around the desk, spraying cleaner on the glass surface beside it. Her elbow grazed the desk corner. The laptop shifted. The screen flickered, changing displays. Hannah's breath caught. She quickly steadied the computer, her pulse hammering. It was fine. Nothing happened. Just a bump. She finished cleaning and left, forcing herself to breathe normally. 30 minutes later, her supervisor's voice crackled over her radio. Hannah Scott. Mr. Carson's office. Now. The walk down the hallway felt like a death march. Carson stood behind his desk, his face red with fury she'd never seen before. Mr. Williams filed a complaint, he said, his voice ice. He says you accessed his laptop. Hannah's world tilted. What? No. I bumped the desk, that's all. I never touched. He has security footage showing you near his computer. Carson slammed a folder on his desk. Confidential files were accessed during your shift. He claims you're responsible. Mr. Carson, please. Panic clawed up Hannah's throat. I would never. I barely went near it. You know me, 6 years I've worked here. And in 6 years, I've never had a billionaire threaten to pull an entire summit because of one employee. His hands shook. Brian Williams said if we don't handle this immediately, he's moving his conference to another hotel. Do you understand what that means? 300 guests. Millions in revenue. My daughter, Hannah's voice cracked. Please, her insurance. I just need 3 more months until I graduate. I'm sorry, Hannah. But his eyes were empty. Mr. Williams threatened to destroy us. You're terminated. Effective immediately. The room spun. No. No, please. Security will escort you out. 2 guards appeared at the door. Hannah's legs barely carried her through the lobby, tears blinding her vision. Then she saw him, Brian Williams, standing near the elevators, phone pressed to his ear, laughing at something. Their eyes met for half a second. Nothing. No recognition. No guilt. She was invisible. He'd destroyed her life, and he didn't even know her name. But what Hannah didn't know, what she couldn't possibly know, was that Brian Williams never filed that complaint. Someone else did. Someone who needed Hannah gone before she realized what she'd really seen. The rain pounded harder as Hannah stood face to face with Brian Williams. Security flanked him, hands hovering near their radios, ready to remove her. But Brian's eyes held something unexpected: curiosity. You have 2 minutes, he repeated. Make it count. Hannah's voice shook, but the words poured out. 3 hours ago, I was fired because you complained that I accessed your laptop. I've worked at that hotel for 6 years. I'm 3 months from graduating from nursing school. My 7-year-old daughter has a blood disorder that requires treatments we can't afford without my insurance. Her voice cracked. You took everything from me, and you don't even know who I am. Brian's expression didn't change. I appreciate bold people. Most wouldn't dare approach me like this. He paused, rain dripping from his tailored suit. But I have no idea what you're talking about. I filed no such complaint. Hannah's heart stopped. What? I don't file complaints about hotel staff. I have an assistant who handles those communications if needed. I never even noticed the cleaning staff. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through emails with practiced efficiency. Show me proof. With trembling hands, Hannah unfolded the termination letter, the ink bleeding in the rain. Brian took it, his eyes scanning the text. His jaw tightened. Complaint filed by Brian Williams, Suite 1207, regarding unauthorized access to personal computer, he read aloud. His voice dropped dangerously low. I never sent this. You're lying, Hannah whispered, but even as she said it, she saw the truth in his face. Confusion. Then anger. Someone used my name. Brian looked up at her, his mind clearly racing. My assistant never mentioned any complaint. I would have been notified if I'd filed something this serious. He turned to his security team. Pull up my communication logs from yesterday. One of the guards worked his tablet. Sir, there's no record of any complaint filed by you or your team to the Meridian Hotel. The ground shifted beneath Hannah's feet. But, if you didn't file it, then who? That's exactly what I want to know. Brian's eyes blazed with something Hannah recognized, fury at being used. Someone accessed my laptop. Someone framed you to cover their tracks. And they used my name to do it. He stepped closer, studying her face. What did you see in that suite? Nothing. I bumped your desk by accident. The screen changed, but I didn't look at it. I just steadied the laptop and kept cleaning. The screen changed. Brian's expression darkened. What time was this? Around 7:30 a.m. He pulled up something on his phone, his face going pale. That's when someone accessed my merger files. Financial projections worth billions. He looked at Hannah like he was seeing her for the first time. You were supposed to take the fall for corporate espionage. Hannah's knees nearly buckled. This can't be real. Who would? Get in the car. Brian's voice cut through the rain like a blade. We're going back to that hotel to find out what really happened. Someone stole from me and destroyed you to cover it up. I want to know who. Hannah hesitated. Trust a billionaire? The same man whose name, stolen or not, had ruined her life? But then she thought of Mia. Of the truth. Of justice. Okay, she breathed. As they climbed into the Rolls-Royce, neither of them knew that the person who'd framed Hannah was watching from a window across the street, phone in hand, already making a call to warn someone that their plan was falling apart. And that person would do anything, absolutely anything, to keep the truth buried. The Meridian Hotel security office had never seen anything like it. Brian Williams stood in the doorway, soaking wet, with a fired cleaner beside him. Mr. Carson went white. Mr. Williams, you're supposed to be at the summit. Show me the footage from my suite yesterday morning. Now. Brian's voice could have cut steel. Carson's hands shook as he pulled up the security files. The first clip showed exactly what Hannah said. She bumped the desk while cleaning, steadied the laptop, and continued working. Nothing suspicious. Nothing criminal. See? Hannah's voice trembled with vindication. I told you. Wait. Brian leaned closer to the screen. What's that timestamp? Keep playing. 10 minutes after Hannah left the suite, the door opened again. Someone entered. Dark clothing, face angled away from the camera, movements deliberate and practiced. They went straight to the laptop. No hesitation, no searching. They knew exactly where it was. Hannah's breath caught. Who is that? The figure pulled out a USB drive, inserted it into the laptop, and their fingers flew across the keyboard. 90 seconds. That's all it took. Then they pocketed the drive and left. That was filmed before the complaint was filed against me, Hannah whispered, the pieces clicking into place. Someone framed you to cover their own theft. Brian's jaw clenched. He pulled out his phone, fingers moving rapidly. My cloud backups, accessing them now. The blood drained from his face. What? Hannah moved closer. What did they take? Financial projections for my company's merger with TechCore Industries. Worth $2.3 billion. His voice went deadly quiet. If my competitors got this information, they could sabotage the entire deal. Billions in losses. Thousands of jobs are gone. Hannah's knees weakened. I wasn't fired for bumping a desk. I was fired for corporate espionage I didn't commit. You were a scapegoat. Brian turned to Carson. How did the complaint get filed through your system? Carson was sweating through his shirt. It came through our internal portal. Logged under your name, Mr. Williams, from Suite 1207's network. His voice cracked. Only someone with access to our hotel systems could have done that. And someone who knew I'd be in that suite, Brian added darkly. Someone who knew my schedule, my laptop's location, and how to navigate your security protocols. Hannah's mind raced. That's not just a thief. That's someone on the inside. Brian's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, and his expression turned to stone. My head of security just confirmed it. The merger files were leaked to Bluepoint Technologies, my biggest competitor, 30 minutes ago. The room went silent. Whoever did this, Brian said slowly, is still here. Still watching. And they just made their move. Brian's security team worked with terrifying efficiency. Within minutes, they traced the fake complaint's IP address back to the hotel's internal network. But not to Carson's terminal. The IT department, one of the guards announced. Logged in under credentials belonging to David Chen, IT manager. Carson's face went slack. David? He's been with us for 8 years. He wouldn't. Pull up his employment records and the footage again, Brian commanded. They enlarged the security clip, running facial recognition software. The figure in dark clothing moved with practiced precision, but when enhanced, the build matched. David Chen. Bring him in, Brian said. Sir, there's a problem. The guard looked up from his tablet. David Chen was logged into the hotel system remotely from his home IP address during the time of the theft. Time-stamped server logs confirm it. He has a perfect alibi. Hannah's mind flashed back. Something tugged at her memory, a detail she'd forgotten in the chaos of being fired. Wait. That night, someone came to the suite before I cleaned it. A woman. She said there was a router issue in the room and she needed to check the connection. Everyone turned to her. David's assistant, Hannah breathed. She had an access badge. She was there. Carson pulled up staff records with shaking hands. Jessica Torres. Started 6 months ago. IT support specialist. Brian's security chief made a call, then his expression darkened. Jessica Torres is dating Marcus Reed, VP of Acquisitions at Bluepoint Technologies. Your competitor. The pieces slammed into place with brutal clarity. They found Jessica in the hotel's IT office, frantically deleting files. The moment she saw Brian, she crumbled. I didn't mean, tears streamed down her face. They offered me $50,000. Marcus said it was just business intelligence, nothing illegal. David gave me his credentials without knowing what I'd use them for. You stole corporate secrets worth billions. Brian's voice was ice. I panicked. Jessica sobbed. When I saw the cleaning logs, I knew Hannah had been in the room right after me. I thought she might be blamed accidentally, so I made sure of it. I filed the complaint using your profile. I needed her gone before anyone asked questions. Hannah stepped forward, her whole body shaking with rage. You destroyed my life for $50,000? My daughter could die without her medication. Do you understand that? She's 7 years old. Jessica's face crumpled. I didn't know about your daughter. You just what? Hannah's voice broke. Decided my life was worth less than your bank account. But even as Jessica confessed, Brian's phone rang. His head of security. His face went white as he listened. What? Hannah whispered. What is it? Brian lowered the phone slowly. The leaked files. Bluepoint didn't just steal my merger plans. They've already moved. They're announcing a competing acquisition in 20 minutes. If they succeed, my company loses everything. The police arrived within the hour. Jessica Torres was led out in handcuffs, her sobs echoing through the hotel lobby as cameras flashed. David Chen followed shortly after. Negligent security protocols were still crimes when they enabled corporate espionage. Bluepoint Technologies' stock plummeted as Brian's legal team filed lawsuits that would cost them hundreds of millions. Mr. Carson stood in his office, watching his career dissolve. I'm demoting you, the hotel's owner said coldly. You fired an innocent woman without investigation to protect a client who never even filed a complaint. That's negligence. But it was Hannah who shocked everyone. Brian stood before her in the hotel conference room, his lawyers having secured an emergency injunction that stopped Bluepoint's competing acquisition cold. His company was safe. His billions protected. Your job is reinstated immediately, he said. Full back pay, restored benefits, and a formal apology from the hotel. Hannah looked at him for a long moment. Then she said the words no one expected, I don't want my job back. Brian's eyebrows rose. Then what do you want? I want what I've always wanted. Hannah's voice was steady now, strengthened by everything she'd survived. To be a nurse. To help people. This hotel was never my dream, it was just a means to an end. She took a breath, vulnerability creeping back in. But now I can't afford to finish school. My daughter's insurance runs out in 2 weeks. Reinstatement doesn't change that I'm still 3 months from graduation with no way to pay for it. Her eyes met his, fierce and unflinching. I don't want charity, Mr. Williams. I want an opportunity. Brian was silent. Then something shifted in his expression, respect, maybe even admiration. "My company has a medical foundation," he said quietly. "We provide scholarships and health care to families in need. I can ensure your daughter gets the treatment she requires and that you finish nursing school." He stepped closer. "But more than that, you confronted a billionaire in the rain and demanded accountability. That takes courage most people don't have. I'm offering you a position in our corporate responsibility division. Part-time, flexible hours while you complete your degree. You'll help us identify and support other families like yours." Hannah's breath caught. This was more than she'd dared hope for. But a voice in her head whispered warnings. "Trust a billionaire? The man whose name destroyed you? Why?" she whispered. "Why would you do this?" Brian's answer would change everything. But before he could speak, his phone erupted with alerts. His face went ashen as he read the screen. "What?" Hannah's heart stopped. "Blue Point just released a statement," Brian said slowly. "They're claiming Jessica acted alone, that I fabricated evidence to frame them." His eyes met hers. "They're suing us for defamation. And they're demanding you testify against me." Hannah didn't hesitate. "I'll testify," she said, looking Brian in the eye. "I'll tell the truth, all of it. They can't silence what really happened." And she did. In a courtroom packed with media, Hannah Scott told her story. Every word. Every detail. The jury saw the security footage, the falsified complaint, Jessica's confession. Blue Point's lawsuit crumbled in 48 hours. Their executives faced criminal charges. And Hannah became the woman who stood up to corporate corruption and won. 6 months later, everything had changed. Hannah stood backstage at the Meridian Hotel, smoothing her dress with nervous hands. Not a cleaning uniform this time, a tailored navy suit. Her nursing degree was framed in her new apartment. Mia's treatments were working. Her daughter was thriving, laughing, living without fear. Hannah worked part-time at Children's Memorial Hospital and part-time with Brian's foundation. 4 to 7 families. That's how many she'd helped in 6 months. 4 to 7 lives changed because she'd refused to stay silent. "You're on in 2 minutes," the stage manager whispered. Hannah walked onto the stage where Brian's Tech Innovation Summit was being held, the same event that had been happening the day she was fired. But this time, she wasn't invisible. 500 executives filled the ballroom. She saw Mr. Carson in the back, now working in a reduced role. She saw the new hotel manager who'd personally apologized. And she saw Brian Williams in the front row, watching her with quiet pride. Hannah's voice filled the room. 6 months ago, I stood outside this hotel in the rain with nothing but a termination letter and the courage to demand answers. She paused, letting the weight settle. The people you don't see are often the ones holding everything together. One act of carelessness can destroy lives. One act of integrity can save them. The room was silent, hanging on every word. When she finished, the standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. Brian took the stage beside her. "I almost missed this," he told the crowd. "Hannah was invisible to me, just another face I walked past without seeing. If she hadn't confronted me in the rain, an innocent woman would have been destroyed, and I would never have known." His voice carried the weight of someone fundamentally changed. "This experience transformed how I run my companies. Every employee matters. Every story matters. Never forget the people you don't see." That night, Hannah returned to her apartment where Mia was waiting, homework spread across the kitchen table. "Mommy!" Mia jumped into her arms. "Everyone at school says you're a hero." Hannah held her daughter close, breathing in the scent of her hair, feeling the steady beat of her healthy heart. "No, baby. I just refuse to be invisible." She looked around their small but warm apartment. On one wall hung a photo, her in that old hotel uniform, exhausted but determined. On another wall, her nursing degree gleamed in its frame. Between them, a new picture, Hannah and Brian at the foundation office, surrounded by the families they'd helped. Hannah sat on the couch, pulling Mia close. "Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the door to everything you were meant to be." "What do you mean?" Mia asked, her innocent eyes searching her mother's face. Hannah smiled, tears pricking her eyes. "I mean that standing in the rain that day, I thought my life was over. But really? It was just the beginning." She kissed her daughter's forehead and whispered the truth she now carried in her bones. "Stand up. Speak out. You never know who's listening, or whose life might change because you refuse to stay silent." If this story moved you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below telling us about a time you refused to be invisible. Because your story matters too. And we've got more incredible, life-changing stories coming to this channel that you won't want to miss. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Your next inspiration is just one video away.